Hello, everyone. Let's see. How are we doing? How's our sound coming through? Okay, we haven't done this in a while, so we need to check. Sound doing okay? Jeff Scott checking in from New Zealand. How you doing, Jeff? Hope everything's well down there. Jeff is. I met Jeff at San Diego Comic-Con a few years ago. James, of course, says everything sounds okay. So I'm here with Mark. Mark just got into town. We're here for, he's here to pick up a car. But also, we're going to do some previs and scheduling work at the studio tomorrow morning. Dale's going to be there. Scott's going to be there. So we'll get a little work done. And we said, no time. What is it? So right now, we've got a pretty specific timeline, and we'll be releasing next summer hopefully at San Diego Comic-Con. There'll possibly be a premiere before then, but definitely San Diego Comic-Con. We're working on theaters now for that. So there you go. There's your answer, Charles. There's Wilhelm. How are you, Wilhelm? I haven't seen you guys. We haven't done this in a while. There's so much stuff has been going on. Good stuff. Of course, if you're new here or you haven't been following up, certainly check out the video update that Mark and I did about a month ago. It's up here on the Axanar channel, YouTube channel. So you can check that out, and that'll give you a lot more detail. We'll cover a bunch of it, but always check out the updates. So the big news, of course, which is at this point it's a couple months old, but we want to keep letting everyone know, is that Axanar is fully funded. So thanks to our benefactors. Up in Canada and in Japan. We have two great benefactors, three actually, one here in California too.
Here in California?
Well, not here in California,
That's
but in California.
Oh.
Here in the United States, over in California, assuming he hasn't been flooded out. So basically we came up with the budget for everything for this big shoot, and then post-production and yada, yada, yada. We got it covered, so we don't have to ask fans for any more donations, and we're really excited about that. Hello, Stephen Ross. Brian says, "Is it going to be a musical?" No,
it's going to be a rap musical.
It will be it will be like Star Trek meets Hamilton.
Yeah, it's going to rap the whole thing. All the Klingon rap in
that's
particular
right.
is going to be great.
Yeah. No, I haven't even seen the musical episode yet of Strange New Worlds. Look, they pulled it off with that crossover with Lower Decks, so I'll cut them slack for whatever they want to do. Jeff asks, is that sub in the background from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Of course, that is the Nautilus, only the greatest science fiction vehicle of all time, in my humble opinion. But it is because in all the subsequent versions of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea that have come out, TV movies, and no one's ever even come close to anything as cool as that. It is. As a matter of fact, last week I was looking up to find out what happened to all the submarine Nautiluses from Disneyland. Remember the old Disneyland ride?
Yeah.
And one of them's over. They sent one of them over to. No, I'm sorry. They built a separate ride in France with not a full scale, but a big Nautilus that you could walk through. It's really amazing.
They didn't just remake the ones that were there?
No. This one's because those were basically a ride, right? This one is much more meant to be like you walk through the Nautilus. It's pretty cool. But I found that they stripped the Nautilus. I don't know how many subs they had at the old Disneyland ride, but they stripped what they needed, and then they buried them in a landfill.
What?
I know. Oh my! How cool would that be to have one of those in here?
The coolest.
I know. Have that in here. So there you go.
They could have made money on that.
Val, it's good to see you. Val is here. Hey, Val, it's good to see you. And so yeah, so that's it. We got, there's lots to go. I was just telling Mark. Well, here's a couple things. This is Garrick's pad from Deep Space Nine.
Oh man.
Yeah. I also have this. I also have this, which is his tailoring tool, which you may have seen. I've got so many people after me for this. There's an episode where he's using this, and then one cool thing, which I just like, and I usually, most of my stuff, is real. This is a replica of the Discovery phaser, which is like the only thing in Discovery I like. But it separates. Guy 3D printed it, right? I mean, it's beautiful. It's got to be one of the best replicas I've ever bought. Got that from my good friend over in the Czech Republic, and who you may know, who did the fantastic Squadron Star Trek fan film. Have you seen that one? It's really good. It's really good. We promoted it heavily, but yeah, Jacob Holly. So anyway, yes, that is a Disco favorite. And that is the pad is the one that Garrick uses in a specific episode. So so there's a bunch of other things up there as well. So we want to talk to you guys and let you know a little bit about what we're doing this weekend. So this weekend, the whole idea with this weekend, because originally we were going to shoot this weekend, then the actors' strike hit, and we had to postpone. And I was like, well, let's use this time to get even better, prepare even better for the shoot. So the shoot now is scheduled more end of September right now, it looks like.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah, that's Crystal's mom's dog that we adopted when her mom passed. So this weekend there's a bunch of things we're going to be doing. We're going to be just Mark and Jeff couldn't make it, so it's going to be mostly Mark and I. But we're going to talk about just setting up the schedule, like who's coming in and what does the schedule look like, because we not only need to do green screen, we need to get some shots on the bridge of certain actors. Not all of them, of course. We're not going to get the Klingons or Saval, but anything like that. But anyone who's Starfleet, right? And so, how are we doing? How many actors per day? How do we shoot? Are we shooting the interviews first? Or are we shooting the bridge work first? How are we shooting the bridge? What scenes do we need? What do we need them saying? What is it for, right? So Mark and I are going to go through the timeline and just talk about that, and then figure out, okay, we need this character to say these following things, right? And it might even involve shooting some little tidbits for a trailer or something like that. But we're going to talk about all that stuff, just so whenever we do get, assuming right now it's the end of September for the shoot, that we're right on top of things, right? That everything works beautifully. Because if we do it right, if we get all the actors, we've got basically 7 actors we've got to shoot. But if we do that right, we're done with principal photography, which would be awesome. And then we're off to the races. And then it's just post-production. And Mark and his teams, because there's a bunch of teams working on it. We'll have months to get ready to finish it. And so we're excited about that. So there you go. Okay. So hello, Joe Haight from Idaho. I don't often have people from Idaho. Okay. Let's see. Andrew Smith says, citation when you went to Destination Trek. Yeah, we know. I'm very familiar with that. At unofficial conventions, we can do screenings. Of course, the official Star Trek, we won't be able to do any screenings. So that's the short of that. Scroungy Beast, you didn't fund this production. So, I didn't see you stepping up with $250,000 to get it all done. So yeah, that's why it's not done. And there you go. And you're a troll, so you're gone. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. Wilhelm asked about the strikes. Yeah. Yeah. And, as people don't know, we lost a year and a half for COVID. And then, we also lost an entire shoot because Paul Jenkins.
Almost an entire shoot
because Paul Jenkins screwed up at the shoot and they lost some footage, and then he filed a fraudulent copyright. So,
and the footage that he shot really didn't match anything.
It would have been a very different Axanar, and it wouldn't have been very good in my opinion.
Wouldn't have matched Prelude.
Wouldn't have matched Prelude at all. Yeah. Andrew says, yes. The answer is yes, we will. My favorite name, Jim's Landscape LLC #1. Feel free to shorten that, Jim.
He's got a whole corporate structure.
Clearly,
number 14.
Clearly. No, listen, Aaron. I love Aaron. He's a friend. He's friends with Aaron, and Aaron was in Blade of Honor. So Mark knows him well.
Knew him.
Yeah. But Aaron was.
He was the funniest person ever.
Really.
Funniest. You take the most. So if you watch Blade of Honor on Amazon, just go after the Richard, the bit we have on Richard. Thank you so much. And then there's all the outtakes. He'll take the most serious, intense, life-threatening line, and then turn it into the most hilarious thing you've ever heard. He was always having fun. I actually own. And when I say own, we get this. Technically, the studio owns the costumes. His Nog costumes. We have 4 Nog costumes. I have his cadet costume. I have his black and gray. I have his dress costume, and we have his future captain's costume from the episode The Visitor. Because I was a huge fan of Nog, just a huge fan. Listen, there's no plans to honor Aaron in Axanar because he wasn't in Axanar, right? So, there's a lot of everyone's like, could you honor this person? This, it's not. Our production isn't about honoring just everyone who ever died from Star Trek, because there's a lot of great people, who you could honor, something like Richard Hatch. Well, yeah, there's a way we're honoring Richard Hatch in these next 2 episodes. So stay tuned. Okay. Okay, I don't catch the Red Dwarf. I don't have the Red Dwarf. I'm not a Red Dwarf fan, so I don't catch that. Tesler's in. Red Tiller is in. How you guys doing? And there's Alexander. There you go. Also, congratulations to Alexander Richardson, who he and his significant other are having a baby. They got the sonograms today, so congratulations to Alexander. I asked him to come on tonight, but he's like, oh, well, my headset mic doesn't work. Your headset mic doesn't work. Don't you have like a microphone, or doesn't your computer have a microphone? Come on. Get with the 21st century, Alexander. So yeah, he's right there. We try and honor original Star Trek. That's what we're about. Okay. Let's see. The hardcover script is coming. There's a reason that was delayed, and I can't talk about it. But I'll be sending out an email probably next week to all the people on the hardcover script, give an update on that. But yeah, that is coming. Are you going to update the hardcover script with the changes that we're making here?
The hardcover script is of the feature film, but it's not of the next 2 episodes.
Sure, but the dialogue isn't it? There's overlap.
Is there?
I don't know. I thought there was.
Not for the feature film.
Okay.
Well, maybe there is. We'll have to check. But we certainly can do that. So there you go. Richard, Richard Hatch was the Klingon in Prelude. Will this live chat continue after? I don't know that one. That reference, you lost me there. Yes, yeah. We will. There are other productions in the works, and once we're finished with Axanar, there are some other very cool things. We will be making a big announcement sometime in the near future, but we will be moving on from Star Trek fan films. We do have another Star Trek project, which is not a fan film, but is fair use. Mm-hmm. Something, CBS thinks they're pissed off about Axanar. Wait till they see the other thing that we got going, which they won't be able to sue us over. So yeah, we'll have other projects, but we're looking to do an Orville fan film. We're real excited about that. I can't tell you details about that, but it will be even in a lot of ways. If you're a fan of the Orville, you're going to love what we're doing, which hopefully Mark will direct that as well, and the whole team will be back for that, and that will be a lot of fun. That is George C. Scott's helmet from Patton. We have one of the costumes for that. So there you go. Let's see. Yeah, that's exactly why they went after us. As much as they want to deny it now, the reason they went after us was because we were true, and they told us they told us that. So there you go. Yes, that is Patton's helmets back there. So there you go. And there's at least 2 other productions that are happening in the Axanar universe that I can tell you about. And of course, because of the guidelines, we can only do 2 more 15-minute episodes. But just like there was Interlude, there's going to be 2 other productions. At least, yeah. That will be that will take place in the Axanar universe. And then I know one fan film producer I'm talking to because he wants to bring Garth into his universe, which would be a lot of fun. I'd love to do that. Yeah, so we will continue to do whatever we can. I mean, we've been really blessed so far with our benefactors, making it that we're finishing Axanar. I will say that we have benefactors now for the studio, so it takes the burden off of me to cover the monthly nut. We have the GoFundMe campaign, and as many of you know, we sent out an email. The new team sent, I think Crystal sent out an email, and we introduced the new team running the studio. So Crystal and I are out of running the studio entirely, and there's a new group coming in, and we have a new president coming in who's like legitimate. She's big in the space industry. She's has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for charities and 501c3s, and she's really excited to be part of the studio. So she's going to be spearheading it along with we got a new board of directors. And so hopefully you read the email and you know that things have changed, and people have asked me about the Aries Studio store, and that's really on them because I'm out of that. However, everything that was not Axanar, we have moved the store, literally copy and pasted it. And we're putting it on a website called, which I'll tell you about soon. That's going to basically be my geeky website, and it's going to be it's going to be all the different things that I love. So it's going to be Star Trek, it's going to be Star Wars, it's going to be comics, Warhammer, and everything else we can throw on there. And it's just basically because I've loved blogging for years, and I just want one place where I can blog about different things. And the store is there. We've set the store up.
gone through it. There's, like I said, it's no Axanar stuff, but it's all the Battlestar stuff and all the other stuff we've sold, all our ProtWorks auction catalogs, all that stuff. So it will be a pretty, a cool place to go and hang out. And when we do release things, and that's where it'll be. So there you go. Hopefully that answered some questions. Andrew Smith says, do I envision any scenario where CBS might ease off the strict fan film guideline? No, I don't. I don't want to comment too much on CBS, but no, I don't see it. Meanwhile, which is one of the reasons why we're not going to do any more projects in Star Trek. It's just like, why deal with all that when you can go to Orville and they welcome you with open arms because they respect the fans? It's great. Let's see. Thank you, John. We appreciate that. Mark's been with me since the beginning, since 2013, since a fateful day outside of Roma Cafe with Richard. Someone was just, I was on the Battlestar Galactica group, one of the mods there, the Facebook group. Someone was showing a bunch of stuff he had from Richard. They were like tags or something from. It was talking about how Richard talked about Tom Zarek, and I said, you could not get Richard to shut up about Tom Zarek. No. I mean, in the best way possible. I mean, he loved that character.
Well, it was a rich character.
It was awesome, yeah. And I was like, don't say he's a villain. Don't say Tom Zarek's a villain to Richard. You never would say that because he'll go off and lecture you for an hour on what the complex, and it was true. It's it was a complex character. It really, really was. It was brilliant. And Richard was, I was so happy when Richard got that role because I felt like he made peace with Ron Moore's Battlestar. Like right. Before then, he was very
because Richard was
so vested in
because he was constantly trying to do his own, and it kept getting foiled. And then all of a sudden, it's like Ron's comes out, and he's like, "What? That's it? You just say yes to him and not mine? I've been doing this for 20 years."
Yeah.
So I love that he got kind of one of the juiciest roles, and he's working opposite Mary McDonnell.
Yeah.
Who was arguably one of the greatest actresses around, or was at that time, and still is.
Yeah.
And they made such a great.
He was awesome. Yeah. Well, I told Richard. I mean, I remember telling Richard, I'm saying, Richard, I'm so happy you're on board with the new Galactica because, it was not a good situation that he was, and I understand absolutely why because he had put so much time and effort into reviving the original, right? And it should also be noted that. When Bryan Singer was going to revive Battlestar Galactica,
I didn't know about Bryan Singer.
Oh yeah, Bryan Singer and Tom DeSanto they're the ones that built the Mark 7 Viper.
Wow.
That was their design, and that production was in pre-production, building sets, and then 9/11 hit, and their project got basically scuttled, and then Ron's project got greenlit. So. But when I was at I was at the 25-year reunion, because I'd been at the 15-year reunion. That's where I met Richard. But at the 25-year reunion, which Richard put on with some other people, Tom DeSanto had a panel where he talked about what the story was about. And that story was a continuation of the original Galactica. Mm-hmm. And which was really interesting. So I know Rich would have been. He wasn't crazy about it because the first season didn't have Apollo.
Oh. It
had Starbuck, but it didn't have Apollo. But at the end, and I don't want to. I'll tell us. We can talk about it some other time. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yes. So we can talk about Battlestar all day long. I loved Richard here. So Richard is the reason the two of us met. All right, so let's see.
Who's the New Voyages director was there? You two were meeting with Richard. What's his name? He does VFX.
Oh, we said again? Darren Dockner?
Darren. Yeah, Darren was there.
Yeah, Darren was there.
That was when I met Darren.
Listen, there are so many good Warhammer 40K fan films out there, all animated, right? Yeah, there's some amazing stuff. You got to see Astartes. If you haven't seen Astartes, go watch Astartes. See, everyone's doing. See, Jonathan Lane is doing Axanar fan fiction. Yes, you will. Not from me though, but yes, yeah. I like everything. Other people are carrying on the Axanar flame, so yes, absolutely. Let's see. So Alexander says, I met him at meeting Richard at Decon and told him how I loved it and also hated his character. He got that lecture.
Bet you did.
Yes. Oh gosh. Val, you were up in Boston, huh? Okay. Hope you had a good time. Hope you're feeling better. I think the last time we talked a couple months ago, you were ill. So I hope you're doing well. Japham is here. How are you, Japham? It's good to see you again. Some of our regulars. Let's see. John says, this may have been asked, but I just joined. Will Ares Studio be able to pursue other fan fiction projects based on non-Paramount, non-Star Trek ideas? So, just to make it clear, Ares Studios is just the soundstage. Okay, so it is literally the building where the Ares bridge set is. And that's its own business, its own setup, and now has no connection to Axanar. Other than we use the set, right? But anyone can use that set. And we've had half a dozen student films shot on that set. Interlude, Jonathan Lane's Interlude fan film shot on that set. We shot Jewish Space Laser on that set. And I know Josh is supposed to come down and use that set. Josh Irwin is supposed to come down and use that set for his Axanar Universe fan film. So yes, so there you go. So that's the studio. We will pursue other projects, although we want to get away from fan fiction, just because there's no money in it, right? And you have to deal with studios and the bullshit from the studios, right? We're doing the Orville fan film because there's no bullshit from the studio, and we love Orville, and basically the Orville is a big fan film anyway.
It really is,
right? It's a Star Trek. It's 3 seasons of a Star Trek fan film, done at the highest quality possible. Interesting, when JJ did Force Awakens, we had a big discussion about. That's like the biggest fan film of all time. Like realistically, it's not technically a fan film because it's by the studio, right? But realistically, JJ was directing a fan film. He was a fan. He wanted to make Star Wars.
You can say that a lot about all of his films.
Oh, sure. Right. Like Super 8 was a giant.
It
was right. Yeah, it was an ET fan film. Right. Exactly. So,
and JJ Trek is just, or what's the one with Khan? It's
Into Darkness.
Into Darkness is just a fan film.
It's just a remake of So the answer, John, is yes. We're going to be making more projects, especially now because we have backers, and we will be doing, when we release Axanar, there'll be a big crowdfunding campaign around it, which will be for the Orville fan film and other projects as well. We also hope to build a studio building to house that set permanently, and so that's
because that set won't be just a bridge, right?
What if we build our own
Orville?
Oh, Orville. Well, yeah, Orville. We haven't. I mean, we just started, figuring out what is the story.
Mm-hmm.
But the story with the Orville fan film is it basically takes place at the beginning of the Planetary Union, so it's like 200 years in the past. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, and we'll have a lot of flexibility, and because we won't have to adhere to that aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll probably have some flashbacks. It will probably have some interview type stuff setting up a flashback story,
but it will not be like Prelude. It will definitely be, there'll definitely be more narrative story to it. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to scroll through here. Hail Brian. Brian sent us $10 for shipping it. Did you get a set of blueprints? I've got to send out the rest of the blueprints, but thank you, Brian. Thank you. We appreciate that. Yes, thank you for noticing. Yes, indeed. I've lost 12 pounds and I've got 12 more to go. 13 more to go for my goal. I'm going to get down to 172. I'm at 184 right now. And when I shot Axanar, when I shot Prelude, I was 182. And so I'm 2 pounds away from that, but I'm 9 years older than that too. So a little more weight loss will help. So thank you for noticing that. My diet has changed radically in the past 3 months. And I've been doing a lot of work, learning just like the latest in nutrition, and not dieting per se, but changing what I eat. And there's a great and this is good for all of you. You guys should all look up Peter Attia, Attia, who wrote a book called. Get that book right there, right on top, underneath the magazine. Yeah. This is one of the most important books you'll ever read. Outlive: The Science and Art of Longevity by Peter Attia, who's a surgeon, a well-known surgeon, competitive athlete. He was like a boxer in high school, and then a competitive swimmer, like set some record for a 32-kilometer swim. And then after that was a cyclist. Anyway, but board certified surgeon. And really, now he is like the #1 expert on longevity. And that's like, and it's very different. Like you'll hear guys saying, oh, you can live to be 125, 150. And he's like, bullshit. He's like, you're going to be lucky to live 100, but here's how to do it. And the book is all, which I literally gave a copy of this book to my doctor, and who had heard of him and is reading the book now. But it's really interesting. It's fascinating stuff. First of all, he's all over YouTube. Like if you put in Peter Attia, everyone interviews this guy, and I'm constantly listening to him. But the important things are, more than anything, he's all about exercise. He's like, there's nothing you can do that's more important than exercise. As a matter of fact, he says the #1 statistic that correlates to longevity, the #1 statistic, you'll never guess this, is VO2 max. VO2 max is your maximum intake of oxygen under stress. So you'll see people doing treadmill tests and they're all hooked up to oxygen. And of all the numbers you can put down, they've correlated that as the #1 indicator of longevity. And he says it's not because having a high VO2 max means you live longer. He says that's not it. He says the VO2 max is simply the significant number, in that everything you've done over your life contributes to that number. And he says, and it's all about exercise. And when he talks about like the 5 factors in longevity, and they talk a lot about, I know I'm getting off track, but it's fascinating. They talk a lot about health span versus lifespan. Like lifespan's irrelevant if you can't do anything, right? Health span. And he talks a lot about your marginal decade, meaning in the last decade of your life, whenever that is, what do you want to be doing in the last decade of your life? Right? And then he teaches you how to prepare for that. Like, okay, so what do you want to do in your last decade of your life? You want to be able to walk to the store? How far is the store away from you? Is it up a hill?
It's like retirement for health.
Yes. And then he's like, you want to be able to pick up your grandkids? Well, you better start doing deadlifts. Right. It's fascinating stuff. Anyway, I'll end it on this. He says the 5 key factors for great health span: strength training, cardio training, and all the cardio these days, all the research is saying it's not doing a lot of high interval training. It's all about zone 2 training. Another could talk to you. Zone 2 is a certain level where you're just bridging, where you're. It's the level at which you're just bridging burning fat to going into lactate production, right? So it's right there. So it's not. It's basically the level of exercise where you can barely carry on a conversation.
Right.
You can talk, but you don't want to.
Right.
And you just stay. And they have all. I've been watching videos of like the great bicycle coaches who coach the best bicycle cyclists in the world, and they're all doing that. And the whole reason, there's a whole scientific reason for it, because that's the point. Zone 2 training is where your mitochondria get the most work.
Oh, right.
And your mitochondria, your energy molecule, the energy. I don't know what the word is. Inside your cell, the mitochondria are the energy centers that produce all the ATP. So anyway, strength training, zone 2, interval training, which is 80% zone 2, 20% high intensity interval training, nutrition, and there's nothing. You can find that information anywhere. Everyone's saying the same thing. I now eat blueberries and avocados and walnuts every single day. And low carb, no sugar. The fourth thing, sleep. 7 to 9 hours. Basically everyone needs 7 to 9 hours. And he says the person that can live on less than 7 hours and not affect their health is incredibly rare. People are like, I only need 4 hours. You're screwing yourself.
Right.
7 to 9
borrowing
hours.
From the other end.
You are. And there are, as a matter of fact, do you know that heart attacks go up at daylight savings time? Because everyone's getting less sleep. 1 hour less sleep. And the increase in heart attacks is like 28%.
I was just in Iceland,
It's crazy.
where the sun's up most of the time. You know, I can't imagine what's going on there, and their heart attacks up.
So sleep, and then the fifth one. So strength training, cardio training, nutrition, sleep, emotional health.
Yeah, right. Stress.
Emotional health. He said having great relationships, being married or having a significant other, whatever that may be. So those are the things. So anyway.
So everybody, thanks for joining us with Alec Peters, MD, and we'll be talking more about health next week, especially.
But it's good stuff. I mean, so it's become really important to me, and I had a little health scare, but it's great. My diet is totally different, and as a matter of fact, I had a bowl. Crystal laughs. I went on a binger the other night. I got some bad news.
An alcohol binger?
And I went on a. I was doing the Richard Hatch emotional eating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Richard. Yeah, we'll bring it back to Richard. Richard used to talk about that, right? Mm-hmm. Richard was legendary for that.
Legendary.
And and what do we call it? We call it not food therapy, but the name escapes me. But anyway, I got something that I was really it wasn't bad news. It was something disappointing. I was like, I was so pissed off, and I held out. I was like, you know what? I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go to Athens because I had to go to Athens, and I'm going to go to my favorite pizzeria. There's one pizzeria in Athens. If we want, we'll go to one, and they have New York quality pizza. Mm. It is the best pizza in Atlanta. It's amazing. I was like, I'm going to go cheat, and I'm going to go to have. So I did that, and then the next day I was still on a little bit of a better, and so I had a bowl of cinnamon toast crunch cereal.
With whole milk.
No, skim milk.
Okay.
I can't do whole milk, so I had I didn't have almond milk. I would usually do almond, so I had skim milk. And I tell you, my system was like put me in the ground.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it was just I was not used to it. But anyway, so there we go. So. And it's all for you, your fault, Jay, from saying I lost weight. Thank you. There's John. There's Stogie.
Hey, Stogie.
Hey, Stogie. How you doing, man? It's always great to see Stogie. Oh, you have colitis, huh? Okay. Well, good. Now that you know what it is, that's good. I would love to. No, I'm not going to do a UFO fan film, although that is a great idea. That would be a great idea. But I definitely want to do. I would love to do
because Jonathan, this is Jonathan Lane. Jonathan Lane did for Interlude, did a Space 1999 trailer. Did you see that?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's really good. I mean, Jonathan did a really good idea, really good job. I'd love to do a UFO trailer for Axanar, just because I love UFOs so much. Let's see. Bad reboot. Yes. There's actually a plan for us to do a couple different projects, and then I have a big original project but it's something that would have to be done with like a major, for Netflix or something like that. But that's down the road. Okay, I'm in. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Buck Rogers. We're talking about Buck Rogers. James Cawley actually did a really good Buck Rogers.
I never saw it.
You never saw his pilot for Buck Rogers?
No.
It was really good. He had Aaron Gray and Gil Gerard playing Buck Rogers' parents.
Did they shoot when Gil was shooting on
Yeah,
that episode with
I'm guessing so. At Katoomba,
yeah.
right? I'm guessing so. And Bobby, the one from Blood and Fire, he was the one who played Buck Rogers.
Oh, good.
But it was just but it was so well done. Will there be girl bosses saving the day for the inept male characters in the Orville? I don't. Why is that what happens in Orville? I don't. Oh, hey, Paul's here. It's good to see Paul. Is someone spamming us with Jesus talk? I can't tell. Yeah, where are you now, Paul? What's a part of Georgia? Are you down on the coast again? Daylight savings is going. I think this is the last.
This our last shift.
I think this coming fall. Are we done?
Should be done.
We're done with the daylight savings.
Tennessee, we're done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah. Good. What a bad idea, right? Oh God. I love it when it's light till 9 o'clock at night. You know?
It's a little weirder in the winter, but nobody cares.
No. Yes. We should talk about Dragon Con. Yes. Alexander's coming over for Dragon Con. Alexander, when are you coming over? Next Wednesday or Tuesday? So there'll be an Axanar get together for sure. Yes, sadly, that is true. That's how bad it is. So I'm going to try and be relatively good at Dragon Con, but do we not come down to Dragon Con?
Yeah.
But there's a birthday cake because September 3rd is my birthday. So there is an orange birthday cake in the freezer right now. They only make it once. They only make it in June.
Yeah.
So we have to buy it in June and throw it in the freezer.
So mine's 11 days later.
No.
Yeah. I'm 14.
Oh, you're the 14th. I think I knew that. And John Muntrath, Doc John.
Really?
Is September 3rd. He and I share the same birthday. Yeah.
Oh, Doc John.
Yeah. We had an episode with him on Axanar Confidential.
Oh, you did? Oh,
yeah,
cool.
he's great. I love Doc John.
He's good.
He's so much fun.
I just missed working with him on New Voyages.
Oh, I know. Yeah. He was so good. He's so good.
Well, the story was, right, so they'd gone through, for Mindsifter, right, you'd gone through 4 directors that they couldn't work or didn't do it. And then you were like, Carly, you should talk to Mark Lewis, right?
Right.
And then I got on and I'm like, great. So I'm on the phone with James Carley.
Right, and you talked to
Yeah, because no one told me who was in the cast. So I talked to Brian Gross. I talked to Brandon,
yeah.
Stacy, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna call Doc. He said, where's he? Oh, he's in New Zealand. I'm like, oh. So I said, when can we talk? He goes, oh yeah, I love to talk. So we talked for a half an hour about the character and all this stuff. And I said, so when are you gonna?
That's right. He was in New Zealand.
When are you coming back? He goes, coming back for what? I'm like, for the shoot that's happening in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. He goes, oh no, I'm not coming back. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, right.
We had this whole conversation.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute, who's playing? He goes, oh, I don't know, but it's definitely not me because I'm down here working.
I remember
And
that.
I'm like, what? Oh, okay. And then, of course, it was Jeff Bond, who was, absolutely fantastic. But it was a bizarre chain of events when I had this whole cast conversation with a major character in Star Trek, Dr. McCoy, and oh yeah, sorry, I can't make it because he's a doctor in real life, and he was down there doing some great work. But
yep. And listen, his Dr. McCoy is brilliant.
Yeah,
he was brilliant for someone who's not an actor. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's so damn good. Let's see what else we got. Right, Sublet, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Christopher Weave is here. It's always good. Christopher Weave, of course, Starfleet Tactical. Let's see. That's kind of funny. I'll tell you, even better than that is the second Lost in Space theme.
That's my favorite.
That is.
Yeah.
By Johnny Williams.
Same with 19. Yeah, exactly. Same with the Space 1999. It's not the first season. It's the second season theme. It's always the second season that's better.
Yeah.
Good old Johnny Williams.
Why do I don't want the radio. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Yeah, if just go on YouTube and search season 2 Lost in Space theme. That is just, I listen to it. It's one of my tracks on my iPhone. I listen. I'm just like, this is the best fucking thing ever. Mm-hmm. It's just so 60s and it's so dynamic and it's just, and the visuals were so good for it. And just, it's in that way, it's similar to Thunderbirds with the little countdown thing. But that is great. And of course, John Williams, who's, I guess didn't he just do another Star Wars night at the Hollywood Bowl?
Well, that was his last.
Was that his last?
I'm retiring. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. God bless him, because he's 80 something.
80 plus.
84
or 5.
80, yeah. God bless him. I mean, just what a legend.
Actually, the statistics show the longest of the folks who have a career that they've lived into their 80s or 90s, the people who live the longest, one of them is conducting.
Really?
Because they're up there moving. They're moving.
Yeah, and they're working their brain.
That's right. I mean, if you've ever looked at an orchestra score, I mean, it's this deep, and you got all these cats, all of whom are egomaniacs.
Yes. And
you got to manage them all and make them feel great and make them do what you want, and then you're up there trying to keep time. And
oh my gosh,
it's a lot.
Yeah. So I totally get it. Listen, that's the Thunderbirds theme is a great piece of. There's such great themes that came out of the 60s. I mean, you can just go down, and a lot of them are British. I will say. I mean, you look. Thunderbirds is a great theme, which I saw there was a video of one of the British military bands doing the Thunderbirds thing. That's great. The Prisoner theme is amazing. That's an amazing piece of music. UFO, that's another great piece of music, but very 60s, so there's which I think it's early 70s. It might not 60s, but the Persuaders, the Roger Moore, Tony Curtis TV show series.
Benny Hill. There's another great
and the Persuaders was done by John Barry, my favorite.
Oh yeah,
my favorite. And the great story. There is a great listen. You all should go out and see. It's on Amazon, and it's a documentary on the movie on the music of James Bond. Mm-hmm. It's great, and I recently shared it with my best friend from high school, who we were huge movie music geeks. But they interviewed a lot of people, and they interviewed Michael Caine, because Michael Caine. He tells a story like he got kicked out of his apartment for some reason. I forget what it was. This is the 60s. and one of his best friends was John Barry.
Mhm.
So he moves in with John Barry, and John Barry is just beginning to score Goldfinger. And Barry was working at was a night worker. So he'd be working at night, and Michael Caine was getting like no sleep.
Mhm.
And then one day John says, "Okay, I got it. Come in and listen." And Michael Caine goes, and he played me the theme to the opening theme to Goldfinger. And he says, I was the first person that ever heard it.
Hmm.
I was like, wow, talk about the confluence of greats, huh?
That's
Michael
awesome.
Caine and John Barry. It's just
Wow.
like, that is just an amazing. All right, what else we got? Sturm is on St. Simon's Islands. Jeez, I want to get down there. Oh yeah, that was great, Jafum. Yeah, that episode where Buster Crabbe came and played played a character in Buck Rogers. Yeah, I'll never forget that. I saw that when it was on TV. What was the name of the book again? What book were we talking about? Oh, Outlive, that one. Outlive Peter Attia. Right, just text me and I'll message me and I'll give you the info. Oh, Val, your birthday is the 16th, huh? Wow, we got a bunch of Virgos. Yeah, I think we're all looking to the new season of Lower Decks.
Please.
Okay, I guess we're gonna have some whiskey. John Tessler's coming down to Dragon Con.
Well, if it's Baker's Mark, you better have Jeff Barklage there too.
Yeah, he's
That's
a big
his favorite.
That's his
Yeah.
favorite, isn't it? Yeah, Wilhelm says the Thunderbirds movie, which was directed by Jonathan Frakes. Frakes talks about that movie too, and the Avengers theme, classic. Yes, another one of the greatest themes of all time. Yeah, I mean, I still think Barry is the definitive James Bond composer. I mean, other than the James Bond theme, which was who's the guy who did James Bond theme? The dun 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 dun. That which was Dr. No was someone else whose name escapes me. But other than that, Barry did everything. He did every Bond up till. Well,
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, I think they changed.
Well, it's David Arnold at that point.
Right, he did GoldenEye.
I believe. I don't know if he did.
Barry didn't do GoldenEye.
No, but it was that.
Barry
was
did Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah,
and then, but my two, yeah. So yes, I think all the definitive, kind of the real. I mean, I still listen. On my phone, I still have the "You Only Live Twice" soundtrack. That's still one of my favorite theme music. And OHMSS on the Emergency Secret Service. Those are my two favorite Bond soundtracks. I think the GoldenEye soundtrack is really good as well. That's not John Barry, but that's a great one. And there's Barry had. Well, first of all, Barry won the Oscar for soundtrack for Born Free. That's Barry's claim to fame. He also did Out of Africa. He did Dances with Wolves, which is just one of the epic soundtracks of all time. So yeah, he did a lot of great stuff. I remember I was watching the Bruce Willis movie Mercury Rising, which is one of he's like a investigator protecting this kid from a conspiracy. And I'm listening to the music and I'm going, fuck, that's John Barry. And of course it was. He's had such a unique style.
He has a branding.
Oh yeah. He's great. We could talk about sound. Mark and I could probably talk about soundtracks forever.
What's your favorite soundtrack of all time?
King Kong, John Barry.
Oh, the King Kong.
76. Yeah,
That's funny because mine's 77, Close Encounters,
Oh, okay.
which John Williams.
John Williams.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, those
Yeah, I
70
know.
scores.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
I know, and it's there. There's not many people who really remember that King Kong soundtrack. And my best friend in LA, Jack, his partner is Bill Condon, the movie director.
Mm-hmm.
Dreamgirls, won an Oscar for Gods and Monsters, and directed Beauty and the Beast, the live action Beauty and the Beast. Right? And it's Bill's favorite soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
Jack said, "Really? That's your favorite?" It's Bill's favorite too. I said, "He's a good man. I like it. I like him." Yeah. Let's see.
Oh yeah, you're right. John Williams is in his 90s. That's right.
John Williams is in his 90s.
He's born in the 30s. He fought in the Second. He served in the Air Force.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they copied that from us. Yeah, it's interesting that M'Benga is the chief medical officer in Strange New Worlds.
Well, it would be because in Cage or a Menagerie, it's M'Benga. It's Dr. M'Benga on the Enterprise.
In the Menagerie. Yeah, but in the Cage, it's Boyce. Dr. Boyce is the chief medical officer, right? With Christopher Pike.
No, with Pike, it's M'Benga.
No. In the Cage, it's Boyce. Remember that scene where Boyce comes into Pike's quarters and Pike is, "I'm tired, I'm tired of deciding who lives and who dies," and he's pouring what's that line he says? He says, Boyce is making him a martini, right? That's Boyce, right?
Right.
Boyce, and then you go to Where No Man Has Gone Before. Wait, is it the same doctor? Yeah, it's Paul Fix is the actor. And then, and so when you see M'Benga on the Enterprise, he's underneath McCoy. So you're like, how's that working?
Right.
That being said, I mean, listen, I have no problem with Strange New Worlds. I think it's wonderful.
None.
I think it's wonderful.
None.
Everything.
Thank God for Strange New Worlds.
Problem with Thunderball is Tom Jones singing the theme song. Oh my God, I just hate that. Wright says he's in. Yeah. James Horner. Yeah, great.
God rest.
Yeah, God rest his soul. Live and Let Die is just. I'm not sorry. Not a big fan of that soundtrack. Alas of the Mohegans, brilliant soundtrack. And First Contact, great soundtrack. Brilliant score. I think the Star
James
Trek.
Horner. I mean, in that case, it's
who's First Contact? I don't know. First Contact.
Of course we do. He wrote Next Generation and Jerry Goldsmith. Yeah.
Oh,
Jerry Goldsmith.
Goldsmith did First Contact,
and that's the what we call it, the Hope thing. Yeah. It's in now everybody uses it. Yeah,
it's brilliant.
And then Voyager, he wrote Voyager.
Goldsmith did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the first themes. He got so tired you can hear the Voyager. Da, 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 da. You can hear him saying, "I'm so tired of writing these themes. I'll just do this." So he talked about that later. He goes, "Yeah, I kind of was like, what are we gonna do? Let's just put the Voyager in the melody. Let's do that."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm with you. It was nice the way they used all those different themes.
Yeah, that was in Picard all over the place. Season 3.
Yeah. So Pike had the bartender docking in the cage. Yes, exactly. Williams was born February 1932, so he's 91 right now. God bless him. The First Contact was a great score.
Really good.
And we've talked about it before. I love Generations. I think Generations is great.
I mean, honestly, 7, 8, and 9 scores, all good.
Yep.
Really good.
Yeah, they are.
Unique and good.
Yeah.
Insurrection was also another one, but they really hammered down on the themes, and you just got to get through it. Love it.
It was Boyce was the doctor. It's not Boise, Boyce. Boyce.
Boise, Idaho. Dr. Boyce.
So yeah. Well, we're way off track talking about soundtracks.
Not really. It was Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, start. Yeah. And let's see. And it's 8:00, so we're on time. So if there's not any other questions about Axanar, you kind of got where we're going with that and what we're doing. We're gonna work, I don't know, a few hours tomorrow at the studio. I think that'll be it. But we've been working on the timelines, on the assemblies of it so far, and we're going to do a little more on that. We've got a big time Hollywood editor reviewing that to give us some feedback, so we're excited about that. And yeah, so we're in very good shape. I'm very excited. And if you guys have any questions, listen, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can always message me on Facebook. That's a good way to get a hold of me. You can always email me, alec@axanar.com. Just so you know, don't contact me through Aries Studios YouTube anymore or through the webpage, because I don't. That's all been turned over to the Aries Studios people. So you got to get me through my email or my messenger on Facebook. Even this channel is now. We basically segregated out the social media for Axanar as well. So now the Axanar there's a group of fans who run the Facebook pages, Axanar and the Axanar fan group, and someone else technically owns this channel, the Axanar YouTube channel, and even though we broadcast this on it, and so there you go. So get me through. And why, say, why did you do that? We did it really. We're just trying to protect ourselves from CBS because they love making noise. And all we want to do is focus on making Axanar and getting out there. And so everything we do will be by like a video or by an official press release. That'll be, everyone can then pick it up. If you're one of our regulars here who wants to be a part of, like Val, if you want to be a part of the Axanar fan group that runs the Facebook stuff, they can always use more admins. And as long as I know you, that's great. And that's about it. So thanks for coming out. Thanks, Mark, for being here. And if you guys don't have any more questions, we'll probably be back in a couple weeks with another one of these. And we'll see where I am next weekend. Is Dragon Con. So I know Alexander wants to do a Dragon Con Confidential, so we may well do that. And stay tuned, and then we'll keep you posted, because we'll definitely have a September update about what's going on with Axanar. So as always, live long and prosper, my friends. And if you have any questions, just message me. Don't bother Mark. He's busy. I can never get a hold of him anyway. Bother me, Alec at Axanar.com. So there you go. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you soon. And Dragon Con and Confidential next week. Maybe Sunday, which is my birthday, or we'll see whenever we can sober Alexander up, because I'm sure he will definitely
imbibe.
He's going to be imbibed, especially because everyone's going to be buying him drinks because he's going to have a kid. So go to bed, Alexander. It's late over there in Scotland. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.